As we know, immediately after Yahshua died, a great earthquake occurred. Matthew 27:50 and 51. But Yahshua cried out again with a loud voice and gave up his spirit, and at once the curtain of the sanctuary was torn from top to bottom. The earth shook, the rocks were split. The National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, otherwise known as NOAA, maintain a database of historical earthquakes. From 1 AD to 50 AD, only one significant earthquake occurred in Israel, and it happened in 33 AD, according to 4 different sources. Phlegon was a Greek historian who wrote an extensive chronology around AD 137. He provides powerful confirmation identifying the year of an earthquake accompanying darkness, which is specifically recorded in Matthew's Gospel. And Phlegon writes, in the 4th year of the 202nd Olympiad, which would have been AD 33, there was the greatest eclipse of the sun, and that it became night in the 6th hour of the day, so at midday, so that the stars even appeared in the heavens. And there was a great earthquake in Bithynia, and many things were overturned in Nicaea. This date would have equated to April 3rd, 33 AD. There is an amazing pattern in the reoccurrence of the number 3 as well. The number 3 being the number of perfection. It is the picture of completeness and is significant in regards to the resurrection. For example, Yahshua prayed 3 times in the Garden of Gethsemane before his arrest. He was placed on the stake at the 3rd hour of the day, and it became dark at the 6th hour, 2 times 3, and he died in the 9th hour, 3 times 3. There were 3 hours of darkness that covered the land while Yahshua was suffering on the cross from the 6th to the 9th hour. The Messiah was dead for 3 days and 3 nights before his resurrection. Can we then surmise that when Yahshua uttered the statement, "It is completed," in John 19:30, seconds before his death, that it was precisely 3 p.m., the 9th hour, and start of the evening oblation when the lambs are killed on April 3rd, 33 AD? Only Eloah could orchestrate something like that. And since we are bringing up the subject of 3s, it was also determined that the Messiah was born in the 3rd month at Shavuot of 3 BC. Luke gives us the mathematical details of the Messiah's conception. And in the 6th month, the angel Gabriel was sent by Eloah to the city of Galilee named Nazareth. Verse 27, to a virgin who had been betrothed to a man whose name was Joseph, of the house of David, and the virgin's name was Mary. Verse 31, and behold, you will conceive in your womb and bear a son. And verse 36, and behold, your kinswoman Elizabeth, she also conceived a son in her old age, and this is the 6th month to her who was called barren. And rising up in these days, Mary went to the hill country with haste to the city of Judah. And she entered in the house of Zacharias and greeted Elizabeth. Verse 41, and it happened when Elizabeth heard Mary's greeting that the babe in her womb leapt, and Elizabeth was filled with the Holy Spirit, with the Ruach HaKodesh. And she cried out with a loud voice and said, you are being blessed among women, and blessed is the fruit of your womb. Now, if we look at these scriptures like a word math problem, we can determine that Elizabeth conceived in the 1st month of the year, making her 6th month of pregnancy in the 6th month of the year. So her 6th month of pregnancy coincide with the 6th month of the year. Mary conceives when Elizabeth is in her 6th month. So perhaps it was at the time of the Feast of Oil. For the Messiah is a king and high priest, traditionally anointed with holy oil. So Mary conceived in the 6th month of the year. We add 9 months for the gestation period, and this brings us to the 3rd month of the next year. The 3rd month where the covenant is given to the elect Israel. Baruch Hashem. The Gospel of Matthew tells us that the Messiah Yahshua was born in the final years of the tyrant known as Herod the Great. After Yahshua was born, Herod panicked and had all the baby boys in Bethlehem killed. Fortunately, the Messiah's family escaped to Egypt and remained there until Herod's death. And he was there until the end of Herod, that might be fulfilled that spoken by Eloah through the prophets, saying, "Out of Egypt I have called my son." And we can clearly see that the child Yahshua was taken for some time to Egypt, as Herod was killing the baby boys 2 years old and younger, thus making the Messiah no older than 2 years of age. Now, German scholar Emil Scheurer suggested that Herod died in 4 BC. This view took off in scholarly circles. But in recent decades, this date has been challenged. Advocates of the idea that Herod died in 4 BC argue that he was named king in 40 BC. To square that with a 37-year reign ending in 4 BC, they must count a part year at the beginning of his reign and a part year at the end of his reign. That's the only way the math will work out. The problem is that that is not how Josephus reckoned the years. Biblical chronology scholar Andrew E. Steinman comments, "There is no evidence for this inclusive way of reckoning a partial year, and every other reign in this period, including those of the Jewish high priest, are reckoned non-inclusively by Josephus." In other words, Josephus does not count the partial first years when dating reigns in this period. He wrote that it was the 184th Olympiad, which ended in mid-year, and that it was the consulship of the Roman general Calvinus, which extended into 39 BC. Given how Josephus dates reigns of this period, he would not have counted Herod's partial first year of 39 BC, but would have started his count with 38 BC. Count 37 years forward, and you have 1 BC for the year of Herod's death. And if he was killing 2-year-old children based on what the Magi told him, the Messiah would have been born in late spring of 3 BC at Shavuot. Something else Josephus tells us is that Herod died between a lunar eclipse and Passover. While there was a partial lunar eclipse before the Passover in 4 BC, there was a total lunar eclipse just before Passover in 1 BC. Luke also tells us that the Messiah's age is about 30 years old. Now, Luke isn't saying that the Messiah was exactly 30 years old, but rather he was saying he was in his 30s. The Greek word triakonokta simply means the decade of 30. I believe that the Messiah was 35 when he died, and this is why. So if he was born on Shavuot in 3 BC and then died at Passover in 33 AD, that would make him 35. And when I searched the scriptures for the words 35 years, there was only one reference in the whole Bible to someone being 35 years of age. 1 Kings 22, verses 41 through 43. And Jehoshaphat, which means Yahuwah judged, the son of Asa, Asa means healer or to heal, reigned over Judah in the 4th year of Ahab, the king of Israel. He was a son of 35 years when he began to reign, and he walked in all the ways of his father Asa, and did not turn aside from doing right in Yahuwah's eyes. I believe that the Messiah was 35 years old when he began his reign as son at the right hand of his father. Born in the 3rd month of the year 3 BC and died in 33 AD. So until we meet again, I'm going to wish you Shalom, Shalom.
Shalom, shalom.